it's more natural just to just be in the middle of a sentence as we're talking, as if you're just dropping in on a conversation. Nothing official about this. We're just having a chat.
That's why you're here.
I think is the whole point of podcasts.
That's why you're here, Terry, to keep that natural, organic feel. He's the Limor content consultant, creative consultant, should I say? Creativity is.
Don't wear it out. Look at that, wearing the branding. Oh yeah,
I know. We've got it for the people who are listening to this via audio and podcasting. We have got our Limor merch on, the most sought after merch in social audio and podcasting. The amount of people.
We won't show where we have our tattoos. That is when you buy the Limor Premium brand, Limor Enterprise.
No, we're not plugging the Limor OnlyFans on this.
Sorry.
So that's the next one. We haven't announced it yet. So Terry, how has life been since episode 3 of Where Voices Meet? We're on episode 4, would you believe?
Yeah, well, very busy actually. I have a nephew. I have a new nephew. Would you believe?
Congratulations.
Yes, Zachary Hugh Fahy. Yeah, we're delighted to welcome into the fold, and he is the third boy within that side of the family, kind of thing. So there's rite of passages and all that kind of to be set up, bonfires lit, all that kind of thing.
The Fahy name will live on.
We get really biblical and all this kind of stuff, and Bravehearty about all that. So we get the war paint, the big bonfire, animal sacrifices, the normal stuff that you bring in.
So Zachary, if you're watching this in the future, hello from the past.
Welcome, Zachary. I hope I'm still around.
Yeah,
keep on trucking.
That's great news. And so that's a big thing. And in the world of voice acting and all that carry on, how's that going for you? All good?
Yeah, tipping along. Yeah. You can have busy days and not so busy days, but kind of doing a lot more stuff myself in terms of the Malachy stuff online. In terms of consistency, I've upped my practice. Yes, and that is a good segue into what we're talking about tonight. Consistency, folks.
Unbelievable. You like read my mind. We're like who would be Ricky Steamboat and Macho Man Randy Savage. We can actually do a whole match and not even talk to each other because we read 100%. Each other's minds. That's what it's like now.
Now, point of correction there is that Randy Savage actually wrote out their epic match. So
that's correct.
He spent weeks these like yellow pads. This is all the trivia that you need to know when you're talking.
That was a bad example.
Old school wrestling. Yeah,
you're correct there. I needed to pick
they actually timed out absolutely everything, and they rehearsed that to within an inch of its life. When back in the day, a lot of wrestlers didn't do that.
You're correct.
The whole match, but
I should have said
maybe we should be like Randy Savage and Steamboat now and actually plan out our conversations.
That's another good segue. What we're going to talk about with planning. So that is correct, Terry. We are we are going to be talking about the consistency required for having a successful podcast and successful social audio and content creation in general. And it's great that we slipped in another wrestling not quote but reference, and I think we'll keep that theme going into the future some way. Every episode we'll fit it in there because it's so awesome.
It's when it's common interest, definitely.
Common interest, but
as you say, it is a soap opera. It wasn't just like a sports entertainment. It was proper drama. It was proper. It was comedy. It was drama. It had everything going for it. Like,
everything.
And lots of narcotics helped as well with the end product.
That's for sure.
Not suggesting we do the same now in terms of narcotics.
We don't need it.
Naturally high.
Most definitely high in life and high on podcasting and the exciting audio industry. And on that topic, as we touched on there, we're going to be talking about the consistency and aspects of content creation that are required to have a successful podcast strategy and content strategy. As you touched on there as well, I was going to mention it, you said to yourself, you've been extremely busy and very consistent on your own social media, your Sir Malachy Murray, other characters you have, and your TikTok is starting to explode as not a direct result, but it has certainly helped being more consistent. Is that correct, Terry?
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah, and it's figuring out kind of even the times to post certain things. Obviously, Ireland, the Republic of Ireland team in the last week have fallen off the rails in terms of qualification for the Euros, and there's a lot of heat on Stephen Kenny. Now, I had previously done a Stephen Kenny video all about his pre-match talk before they faced England at Wembley, and there was some controversial kind of video, real Republican slant to the video that he showed the players before they went out to play England at Wembley. And the video, in my parody, I am Stephen Kenny and I'm talking to the players. And there's this video of all the horrific things that have happened to Ireland in the last while, you know. So it was all this kind of bad news stuff, including Vincent Browne, you know, accusing the Troika of destroying the country, Roy Keane and the mobile phone incident where he was calling people out, and Leo Varadkar announcing the start of COVID and that this was the calm before the storm and all that kind of stuff. But it was interlaced with the Ring video. So it was like this
Yeah,
kind
I
of
saw that. It was
video.
great editing.
Yeah, so I used that, repurposed that video and kind of took out the England references and put them in for the France game. And that took off on Thursday night. And again, it posted it the night that Ireland had lost to France. And it was, it's just one of those things that kind of you can get lucky with. And yeah, a lot of
Big
people share
success.
that. And then I did a follow-up one in terms of the Netherlands beating us as well. Stephen Kenny, God love him, there was the motivation talk before a game isn't the best, especially my version of Stephen Kenny.
No. But it's interesting you talk about that, because there's two very important things there. There is creating content that is relevant to what's happening right now. So that was relevant because it was the Euros, it was Stephen Kenny, it was trending in the news. But if you were to do that video next week or the week after, it wouldn't necessarily be as popular because that's in the past.
Yeah.
And that's the two slants with podcasting. It's very difficult to do that in podcasting because it takes such a huge amount of work and consistency with sitting down and having, you know, a long-term conversation, organizing a guest to talk about Stephen Kenny and the Euros. And if you do that every day or every week, again, a lot of work. Most people will not do that unless you're a professional podcaster or have a media agency. Again, another plug with Limor. The great thing about Limor and voice and social audio is you can do that. You can do your short snippets, your short news on the Euros, your comedy, whatever the case may be, and put it out there. And then you could reference the actual events in your longer form traditional podcast. But it's great to see that working for you in the TikTok space, and also the learnings. And that comes down to consistency. It's like anything. The more you do something, the more you learn. And again, you learn from what works, but also from what doesn't work.
100%,
and you can improve and tweak it. And I'm sure you've learned a huge amount in the last number of weeks since you've started posting.
Absolutely, yeah. I think since it started really in July, kind of mid-July, that's when I kind of concentrated on getting a lot more visual content, let's say, out there. And definitely I've learned a lot in terms of what I thought might work and what actually does work. And again, it's timing, consistency. It's the ideas themselves. When you concentrate on, when you put yourself into the space of, okay, I have to come up with something, and you hold yourself to that level of consistency. Let's say you want to get 3 videos out in a week. You force yourself into that creative space where you have to come up with the idea. So you're putting pressure on yourself. And again, I harken back to that Stephen Pressfield book I was talking about the last time, and resistance. And the resistance you have to first get past is the resistance in your own mind and the resistance in your own head, that there's certain things that you put obstacles in front of yourself before you actually even get to produce what you want to produce. And when you can push through those, it's not just the external stuff, it's the internal stuff. And that can be said about podcasting as well. You know, that if you allow yourself to overthink it, and kind of that, okay, well, I'll do it eventually, or, I need to get this perfectly right. It's just not going to happen because it's never going to be perfect, first of all. And the more you put out, the more you learn from. That's kind of what I'm getting at.
A great quote I would like to say in relation to that is perfection is paralysis. So exactly what you're saying. People say, oh, it has to be 100%. If it's not 100% correct or right, there's no point in doing it at all. And that is often an excuse because they're fearful to even get started. But it's the only way you learn. No one will ever get perfection, but you'll get damn close the more you do. And I think the other side of it as well, Terry, is alongside the consistency, you have to have accountability. Yes. Whether that's accountability to yourself, which is really difficult to do. There's a lot of skill development required for that, a lot of experience to have the mindset to be able to be accountable to yourself, that if you set a task, you will do it, and you don't need an outside force to force you to do it or to remind you to do it. But if you can master both and have both pushing you, so you have your self accountability and you also have a coach or a training partner or a significant other or someone who's encouraging you or supporting you that can drive you to be consistent, that is a winning philosophy, a winning ingredient to have. So anyone listening to this, the consistency thing, so important. If you can get someone to work with you or to support you or whatever the case may be, as I mentioned, a coach or a training partner, or I'm using references to obviously gym work or whatever, it will make a massive difference. That someone will say, Terry, have you done that yet? And you go, oh no, shit, I haven't. I'll get right. Well, you need to get that done by 3:00 on Tuesday because it's going out at 3:00 on Wednesday. Make a world of a difference. And Arnold Schwarzenegger always said it. He only became Mr. Olympia because of his training partner, Franco Columbu. End of. Yeah. And that is really, really important. So Terry, who is your mascot or accountability person?
I'm looking at him. Look at him. Look at him there in his... Yeah, baby. Professional rugby's finest. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, well,
what am I doing?
Arnie, Franco Columbu, it's fairly similar to the two of us, That
was a good pitch. I'll hire you, Shane.
Yeah. Well, listen, you have the talent to become a Mr. Olympia in your space of comedy and content creation. You just need to get the training in, the consistency in the hours, and you will be there. No. That's it.
The other quote I was going to say after your analogy there was something that really hit home with me was the normal expression is ready, aim, fire. Mm-hmm. What people would say that are, high achievers or whatever is ready, fire, aim. So you'll always fire off target. You won't get your target the first time. Then you start aiming. Then you'll know where, okay, you've missed a few times, but then eventually you will hit your target.
But what happens if you only got one bullet?
Yeah, but there's going to be there's going to be pitfalls to my analogies. Fair enough, and there will be human casualties because you're firing all over the place. But eventually you'll hit your target.
Well, if
an apple on your hand,
if you replace the gun with a flamethrower into that analogy, I think it would be.
That's it. I don't think you're going to hit. Yeah, you're just going to hit everything with a flamethrower.
This is the place to come if you want analogies that are just on point.
Mind blowing. It'll stick with you.
Yeah. Another one to throw into the mix is jump off the cliff and build your plane on the way down.
Very good. Very good.
Which is
again probably not a good idea in real life, but I get it.
No, but figuratively,
especially if you don't know how to build planes.
Yes, or fly a plane.
And it's a short cliff.
Like Pierce Brosnan in Goldeneye, another amazing movie when he jumps off the plane and gets into the plane.
Saw that in the cinema, 1995. No.
Incredible movie. I actually watched a review, came up in the algorithm on my YouTube. I think it was because I was diving down into the Nintendo N64 Mario content because of the recent news that we made a video about that the voice of Mario was retiring after 40 years or something like that.
Yes,
Here we go. So GoldenEye came up, and there was all these reviews about being probably one of the best games ever made, and I would agree, and probably one of the best James Bond movies, best Pierce Brosnan movie by far. It's an absolute classic. So if you're listening to this and you haven't seen that movie, watch that bloody movie.
Tina Turner.
Yeah.
Tina Turner did it, but she didn't have the range. There was a sketch with the Little Britain guys, and Matt Lucas was Shirley. Was it Shirley Temple? I think not Shirley Temple.
Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Temple. So she's on the bed, stretched out like this, and then David Williams is Tom Jones, and Tom Jones is sitting on they're in the bedroom, like they're just hanging out together. Two Welsh singers, and it's like Matt Lucas is like, yes, I've met them all, darling, I've met them all, but they never had the range. None of them had the range. I was the only one that had the range. Shirley. It was like Tina Turner didn't have the range.
Tina Turner. Was it Tina Turner died recently?
She passed, yeah. She's
R.I.P.
on to the other side.
Yeah. So that's a good one. So what we've touched on, as I said already, is the consistency, the accountability in terms of the coaching, and that what goes with that is obviously the structure and the planning. So with the podcasting, with the social audio, with any content creation strategy, you want to put it down on paper and build a plan. That it goes hand in hand with obviously the content itself. What are we going to talk about? When are we going to record it? How long is every episode or cast going to be? Where you are at the moment is in the realm of video, short form video. So you're looking at, you wouldn't be anything longer than 5 minutes, I'd say, Terry, currently at the moment, would you?
No, definitely not. I mean, a minute and a half is what I'm aiming at these days in terms of getting, because I know the attention span is so, quick. And if you don't have them in the first few seconds, it's gone, so
2 to 3 seconds on average, at max 8 to 10. And that's if you get 8 to 10, you're doing incredibly well. And that is why it's so advantageous to start a podcast and to get involved with social audio, because the attention is unbelievable, just cannot be beaten when it comes to content creation, the form of content. Podcasting, how you listen to it, when you listen to it, where you listen to it is completely different to when people are watching video. So you could be in the gym, cooking in the kitchen, going for a run, driving in your car. There's no distraction. There's not the scanning of other content, trying to find something else and getting pulled away from a video you were just watching. And the longer you have someone's attention, in terms of them listening to you at the beginning of a podcast, the more likely they are to stay with you and finish. So 80% of podcast listeners on average listen to the full episode, which is incredible. And that's why if you start a podcast, which you should be doing, if you're in a space of content creation or if you have a business, once you do that, you get their attention. And if you get their attention for that, they're more than likely going to buy into you as a person, as a storyteller, as a business owner, as a comedian, and want more of your content. And
speaking of comedians and content and podcasts in particular, I'm seeing a lot more comedians doing podcasts and taking snippets from the podcast and putting them on as comedy bits. So they'll take a funny line or they'll take whatever they've said that is hilarious and everybody's laughing. And that's it. That's your, 1 minute clip for your different social medias. And that draws into the podcast.
Right on cue. If people hear that, my camera's after falling out of the stand.
No, good man.
Bit of slapstick comedy there for you.
You can't beat it.
Can't beat it. Hopefully that won't fall again. So, and that's another great segue into something that's very important in the content creation side of things, is to repurpose your content. We call it the content pyramid. So you think of an upside down pyramid. The long form is, there's the phone jumping out again. Let me change the position of it. There we go. The long form content is the base of the pyramid. It's the most time intensive to create, to edit, to distribute. And then as you go down, you have the longer form. Then you make the shorter form, which is repurposing that longer form into those short snippets or clips. And that also incorporates the Limor social audio, which is, anything from 10 seconds to just over 3 minutes in length, which is really quick to produce and share instantly, but also short enough to consume and listen to quickly too, and hopefully spark interaction and people commenting and sparking conversation with you. And then that again can be repurposed into short quotes. This is the place for quotes, as we mentioned earlier on in this podcast, memes, images, that type of thing. And then you repeat the cycle over and over again. But the amazing thing about podcasts is, say we do, like this evening, this is going to be maybe a 30-minute long conversation. This 30-minute long conversation can be snipped into 10, 15 clips. And those clips in themselves can be repurposed again. You cannot turn one of your 3-minute videos into a 30-minute long conversation, Terry.
Yeah, you can't go the other way.
You can't go the other way.
Yeah.
So that's why it's
just
the
one of those clips. Then can we do one for water? Tastes good.
That's tonight's
Drink
sponsor
water today.
That's tonight's sponsor. Yeah.
Just leaving them on.
Yeah. Check is in the post. Sleeve na mono. Yeah.
New product.
Yeah. So so that's the efficiency. And another thing of why you need to start a podcast if you're in the content creation space, because as you said, it's very difficult to come up with new ideas and create new content. And it can put a lot of pressure, especially for that short form style.
Yeah.
Whereas with the podcast, like, as I said, we're creating the content right now. We do not have to go back and say, right, what are we going to do for a 2-minute clip? What are we going to do for a 3-minute clip? We'll just snip it from the long form. The efficiency, incredible, and something that you have to get involved with if you have a business, without a doubt. If you're a content creator, a comedian, like you mentioned there, comedians getting into the space because it's brilliant for them. The free-flowing, longer form conversation, people get relaxed and they get into the jokes and the humor more, and it's not staged or over-rehearsed as well. And that's the conversational side of podcasts, which people love, why they are so popular. They're not interviews, they're conversations, as they always say. And that's, one of the best ways to get humor out for comedians. And all these points we're talking on, Terry, we will be implementing with yourself in the future, because you have a lot of very exciting plans moving into the future for your own comedy and podcasting. Do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, without giving too much away, and everybody's stealing my brilliant ideas, of which there are many, and they're all going to be home runs. So we're talking about 10 episodes, I think, first, for that character that we both know, who is very suave, sophisticated, and we'll have lovely intimate conversations up front, up close and personal, and will probably not fall into the realm of it being a relaxed conversation. It will probably be a bit more question and answer, and a bit more staid.
And awkward for the guest.
Exactly, yeah. I think awkwardness is Malachi's superpower, really. Yeah, the more awkward the situation, I think the more Malachi thrives.
Tries on it. And that's exactly it. We'll be looking at building a plan for the traditional podcast series, pilot series, working on that, which will then be repurposed, as we mentioned, to your promotional content, which will spark ideas for separate content that could be comedy sketches as a result of the podcast, the conversations you have. Can lead to other things as well with collaborations. We won't go into that too much this evening, but that's another massive thing you need to do with podcasting, is collaborations, partnerships, networking. Unbelievable tool and asset that you can tap into as an individual and as a business owner. And this is all stuff that we work with our clients on. We have some big clients that we're talking with at the moment, and we're working with them on the content strategy, as well as the content strategy, the planning, the consistency, the coaching aspect, the accountability side of it. It's drawing them into the creative process, which we touched on last week as well, tapping into their mind. Everyone has a creative spark, but it's just getting them to touch into that.
I think the important point of that as well is that in our everyday lives, especially in business and let's say a 9-to-5 office job or whatever, there isn't that space allowed for those creative moments or creative kind of opportunities to just fire things at a wall, just literally just talk about ideas that have been burning in your head for a long time, but you've just, suppressed them in so many different ways. And to give a company or to give a creative team or whatever the space to really fire out their innermost wishes in terms of making a podcast. And, I think Limor is a great company to do that, to allow that space for people to just literally fire all their ideas out. And then there's that guidance as well as coaching for the consistency all along the way.
It's brilliant. I love that part of it. Like, I love the brainstorming. I love tapping into people's, I said, creativity for their product, for their brand, for their business. Because in general, when they do work with us and they reach out to us, they are passionate about what they do in the first place. So to be able to bring that into the realm of podcasting and social audio and the whole content creation aspect is great. And when you see the penny drop with people, they're kind of like, wow, didn't think of that. And it's so easy when you know how, kind of thing, So once again, love that aspect of it. Really enjoy diving into it with yourself, Terry. Like, we're always texting each other and sending different videos and suggestions for comedy sketches. We had a great one today, which was very funny this morning, which we'll save that for the masses in the future. Don't want to spoil any things there. Bounce back tour, but all good. I think we've covered most things that we wanted to touch on in this episode of Where Voices Meet, which is obviously the consistency, the accountability, the importance of a content strategy, the ability to repurpose episodes and content to distribute. And that's the important thing as well. We've touched on it loads of times. Podcasts do not work in isolation. It's no good to have the accountability, the consistency, and just share it on Spotify and hope it will grow. You need to push it to everyone within your network, every social media platform that you find works for you.
To swing back to Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's you've got to do the thing that you like to do, but you've got to tell everyone about it.
That's a good impression of Arnold. There's a very good impression of Arnold. I like the way you're talking like that.
This is better. I meant to be his impressionist.
I have practiced with Arnie many years. A big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, as you might be able to tell us. The only one I'm relatively okay at doing an impression of. But it's so true. You have to tell everyone about it because you are your brand. And if you're not willing to sell yourself, no one else will.
That's not in a cheap way.
No.
When you say sell yourself, you might kind of think of the oldest profession in the world, but it's not like that.
And that's a segue back to OnlyFans, Terry. I like the way you did that.
It's marketing yourself. Yeah, it's
marketing.
And again, in Ireland, in this country, I still think there's a huge kind of a block there in terms of, getting above your station and all that. So who do you think you are? For a lot of people, I do,
Yeah, and
that is a huge thing that probably we will have to break through or get over or whatever. And look to the West. Look at the Yanks. They're well able to give it socks and tell everybody how great they are and all that kind of thing. Maybe not be that extreme, but it's an example.
Well, it is, and it's probably a topic for definitely another conversation. And it does remind me of another Irishman who was very successful, but it's a bit controversial these days with his antics outside of the octagon. But one thing he did say that was very good is losers focus on winners, winners focus on winning. And such a great quote, because it's so true. As you were saying, the creative, the people who go out there and do the stuff, they're willing to put their neck on the line, take the risks for ridicule, for losses. They're the ones that make a difference and change the world and change their own lives for the better, and hopefully inspire other people to do the same. And that's what we're hopefully doing in the space of podcasting and social audio and content creation. So if you're listening to this and you have been inspired by me and Terry Fahy on this episode of Where Voices Meet, please do download Lemur, set up a profile, and say hello to us in the voice comment section. Let us know what you think, and start
brandish your sword and slay the dragon.
100%. And
go for it, guys.
Give Terry a follow. You'll be able to hear his comedy sketches as well as his incredible edutainment casts of content from the space of podcasting, voice commerce. Very educational, knowledgeable. If you want to learn more about what's happening in the realm of audio, that is where you need to go. You can also check out Terry on his social media accounts. What is your TikTok username, Terry?
It's Sir Malachi Murray.
Sir Malachi Murray. Definitely give him a follow there. Check out his videos.
All the comedy stuff is on Sir Malachi Murray. And then on Instagram, I'm Terry J. Fahy.
Terry J. Fahy. And if you want to give me a follow as well, guys, Shane Monahan Designs, the main man Mono, and of course, all on Twitter. And then all of the Lemur accounts across social media too. We would love to engage and hear from you. So if you're interested in getting started, if you're a business owner and you want to get coaching, get the consultancy, get a Lemur Enterprise profile, which is next level technology. It's a one-of-a-kind, innovative toolkit and content management system for podcasting, where you can instantly create podcasts yourself and link your whole team to create content for your profile as well, and social audio content too. You can do so. Check out www.lemur.ie. So Terry, as always, absolute pleasure. I think this is a very efficient episode of Where Voices Meet.
33 minutes I have here, Shane, that we've done. That's a very significant number in Freemasonry. So for any of the
that's correct. We're going to, hello, it's a 30 seconds. We're going to end on 33, 33.
Any conspiracy theorists out there? See you next time on Where Voices Meet.
Goodbye, everyone.